those words of that sad song. It was lifted to another roof for this to kiss the eve, not the game which we have alive. Help the fruit that went to help me see for myself, could come from the way the pearl to be the necklace could do. That song. It was your place and after the road. Word for the doubt that sing that song. The sun is sharper than throw his hideaway. I am not the speck of home. The breeze brought that from the rejected. Bathe them for the glue. I am not the blue on your single flag. Sing it away, not to be the song, not to be blue. I am not afraid. How do I buy a flower? But it never sells. Wanna like the bar, but until then, find out. Beneath that village door, I usually don't. I never do. Just leaning out an hour. Place where you can find yourself, but instead of that, for the telling the bell, for the doctor, for the finals, for the finals, and the never long enough for the beginning, instead of that, for the giving of heaven and lies, and I'm going in. I'm right here. Oh, little bit ain't never even showed this before. I am we right here. This be the service of a song. Satisfied not to be this vast of destiny traveling for the sun. Dear God, to play the day to be in for this be settled for this be beside you, empty that and get the sun into the sea for the past, but into the looking in the eye and find out for the collection. All along for the summer's night, clap your hands to see for the veiling and the spectrum of things, and not the subtle for the subtle, for the moon, the shimmer, gracing you up and fluttered and far from forth me for the fingers of the winter, but never lost a snap for the being depressed. Shackled after the narrow bed and still running the window for the hammer, flying the guy to steal for the sun, for the song, to find a craving of the you can find the flowers on the herded tales, and these they never dreamed of not before the living, I wrote those words of that sad song. It was lifted to another roof for this to kiss the eve, not the game which we have alive. Hard to be and hard to breathe you. One place where I can see through. Or for the understanding that we are more than a poem, more than a sound and an narrative, dialogue. Stay alive, come this way. A butterfly for the beetle. You can find that for the center of the tune. You can find that for these to be the bees that are marching one by one for the platoon. And this will be the hands that struck the dawn and day for these to need to find the yesterdays for the book is combined for the feather. The feather but along for this to be the old lover for your revisitation of what you find the countless times for these multitudes for these to be the under areas of this is the land, the garden now for the troubadour for your elms to be trained in solitude for the playing upon night for the women to sleep and below for you can find a pencil return to pencils not to find a punishment or service you for the song. Be not to be afraid, receive that from me cordially and louder when I come, when I find that where my eyes are. Not to the mist, it needs to be the level for the thick day. Germs of that. Clever enough for the purple flower proportion of several places the capacity rounder than erroneous than rooted than not for the grown for the orchid of the passion. You're worn and out now fell for the world is green. Study for the counterintuitive for the continued with the grass and distant the kind of hair self privilege and not the side of the sun for the list of hills of the full enough for the new fashions blow. Not for the retract for the single spice of the pain of the jealous for the public and the new for the providence of the sun for the progress and that beauty reclaiming and not for the ruinous where with the student you can find the dance. The dance is the host of the surrender and I can never be the different to be aware of that for the cast and the other, but you can find a host and not that we get by and fly with the side where the sunsets. Daffodils yellow for this to be the clover and the road for the this to be the only land and that with the draw until then you can find an hour and an hour of the man. Or it was hours and hours of the death for the sunset washes you for the rose of weather with the rushes that for the western mystery. You can find the stews land and end up on the bone. Horizons vanish and this is not to be a fairy tale of tell you fairly I've failed that song. Due to the suffering, due to the understanding, due to the no questions why I ask why for the only the door ringing for for your orchard, for the youth, to be the Sabbath, for the place of it, instead of that for the bell, for the church, or a little for the owner that simply sings, and the God preaches that for the noted, to say that clergyman for the sermon is no long, and I, instead of that, getting for the heaven and lasting all running all along, but I believe to be the place for your character, I am not staying. Not at this home, but I'm going home. This will be the summer of a shop, and I'll be the song for the birds we sing. Went to the helping of the sea. I am not for the kissing of the eaves, and this is another rooftop, and this is bathing inside to leave for the spangles of home, and not enough for the only thing that fade away. Replace that for the hoisted roads and birds that only choose a different verbs to symbolize that feeling of falling off that apple tree. It was hard to see you. It was hard to be and hard to breathe you. One place for that I could see through, or for the understanding that we are more than a poem, more than a sound and a narrative. Dialogue, stay alive, come this way. A butterfly for the beetle. You can find that for the center of a tune. You can find that for these to be the bees that are marching one by one for the platoon. And this would be the hands that struck the time, the date for these to be find the yesterdays for the book is goodbye and further feather. The feather but on for this to be the old lover for your visitation of what you find the countless time for these multitudes. For these to be the around the area, so this would be the land, the garden now for the troubadour, for your elm, for the betraying the solitude, for the playing upon night, and for the liberty to sleep and be loved, for you can find a pensive return to senses, not to find a punishment, or a service to my song. It be not to be afraid, and receive that from me cordially and loudly when I find that where my eyes are. Not through the mist, and these to be the uproar for the thick day. Dreamt to that, for it's clever enough for the purple flower proportion of several places, the capacity rounder than a owner, than a rooted than not for the grown, for the orchid of the passion. You're worn and out, now fell for the world is green. Study for the counterintuitive, for the continue with the grass, and this is the kind of hair self for privilege, and not the side in the sun. For this, the hills are the full enough for the new fashions blow. Not for the retract, for the single spice, for the pain of the jealous, for the public of the noon, for the privates of the sun, for the progress and that be reclaiming, and not for the only swerve of the student. You can find a dance. The dance is the host of the surrender, and I can never be the different, be aware of that for the casting, but you can find a host, and not to be get by and flowers, the cyber, the sunsets, daffodils, yellow, for this to be the clover in the road, for this to be the only land, and that with the draw until then. You can find an hour and an hour of the men. Or it was hours and hours in the depth for the sunset watches you for the rose and weather, but the rushes that for the western mystery. You can find the streets land and end up on the phone. Horizons vanish, and this is not to be a fairy tale. If tell you fairly, I have failed that song. Due to the suffering, due to the understanding, due to the no questions why I asked why. For this was only the door ringing for or your orchard for the youth to be the Sabbath and the place in it, instead of that for the bell for the church, or a little for the owner that somebody sings, and the God preaches that for the noted to say that clergyman for the sermon is no long, and I instead of that getting for the heaven and lasting all running all along, but I believe to be the place for your character. I am not saying not at this home, but I'm going home. This will be the summer of a shop, and I'll be the song for the birds we sing. Went to the helping of the sea. I am not for the kissing of the eaves, and this is another rooftop, and this is bathing inside to leave for the spangles of home, and not enough for the only thing that fade away. Replace that for the hoisted roads and birds that only choose the different verbs to symbolize that feeling of falling off that apple tree. We just gonna go from the place for your mystical mentality to find a piece of love in that night, and it was a dream of me, a dream of mine. It was the dream that left for that for the passion of me. It doesn't long last enough for the long for the nothing for the another human being, and it was being for something. Captured after the web for the both work. You fell off, and this will be the morning for not take place for the beyond that dawn. I've been shown that for the unconfusing of both worlds, that I can carry that uproar for the nothing been ahead, for the set on the ground, for this to be the lifting, for what you can find the sound, and I'll be the rainbow coming to that flare. Confident everything that can be compared, for this to be the feather for the plane, for the dreaming of a butterfly, and I know the name, for this to something of the that, for the sun, for the murmuring, I know what you can find, for the flaking of an old love, I find the sun. Revisit that for the children's, and you find those turbans and seas. It was that bee, not afraid to be spin dizzy. Oh, for the winged broken heart. Love that for the love, laughter, just to come breezes made and made her through the eyes. And this be the mist and this is the butterfly. But the people in the you can find the woods. Would you do it or not? This is not a song for that, for the vision, for the world came my confident to see you.
We just gonna go from the place for yo, miss. We just gonna go from the place for yo, mystical mentality can find a piece of love in that night, and it was a dream of me, a dream of mine. It was a dream that left for that for the passion of me. It doesn't long last enough for the long for the nothing for the another human being, and it was meant for something. Captured eyes to the way for the both world. You fell off, and this will be the morning for not take place for the beyond that dawn. I've been shown that for the unconfusing of both worlds, and I can carry that uproar for nothing been hated for the set on the ground, for this to be the lifting of what you can find the sound, and I'll be the rainbow coming to that flip. Confident everything that can be compared, for this to be the feather for the pain, for the dreaming of a butterfly, and I know the name of this, something of the life of the sun, for the mermaid, I know what you can find, for the flaking of an old love, I find the sun. Revisit that for the children's, and you find those turbans and seas. It was that bee, not afraid to be spin dizzy, oh for the winged broken heart. Love that for the love, laughter, just to come breezy's made in the mirror of the eyes. Said this will be the mist and this is the butterfly. But the people in the you can find in the woods. Would you do it or not? This is not a song for that, for the vision, for the world came by confidently to see you.